This is the luck of the draw. I mean,
Welcome to the Tuesday, August 16th meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. And tonight, our invocation will be led by Reverend Chip Hatcher, who is the new pastor of the Presbyterian Church on Westminster Presbyterian, and to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand with me?
Oh, Mayor, before tomorrow will be a year of David Watkins, our former city manager, death, and please remember that family, especially Kay, his wife, in your prayers. Thank
Will
you.
do. Watkins, did you say?
David,
Okay.
Kay Watkins.
All right. Well, let us pray. Oh, Lord, you promise goodness and mercy for those who seek your will and follow your way. We give you thanks for the blessings we share in this community, and we commend our citizens to your merciful care. And we especially remember the family of David Watkins this night. So help us to dwell in your peace and be guided by your providence. Grant to this council the wisdom to know your will and the courage to do it. Help us to know and help them to know that the community they serve is grateful for them and supportive for their service. Bless them with your unifying presence. Bless our mayor in her travels tomorrow, we ask. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hereby call this meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Davidson. Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Ramick. Foley.
Here.
Carney.
Here.
Mayor, you do have a quorum present. I would like to remind the board that there are only 5 of you, and it takes 2/3 of the board to waive the readings. So I would ask that those be unanimous if possible.
No. I vote no. You like to read, huh? And there are no pictures, right?
We'll be here a lot longer.
Okay, all righty. Okay, the first item of business is to consider the approval of the agenda. Directors, are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications? Yes, sir.
I believe passed out here tonight is a resolution to be added to the agenda, Resolution R-16-126. This is a resolution approving an application for a temporary emergency dwelling unit at 1008 Woodlawn. And the Edgars are here tonight, and Kathy will have a little more to say on this later.
Okay, so we're adding that to the agenda.
Yes,
Part of the consent agenda? Is that what
no, to the,
you're proposing? Okay.
Make your first item.
120, 126 is missing in the list.
yeah.
Okay.
It may be on the revised, no, it's not on the revised agenda, it was handed out. So anyway, but I think it needs to be added to the agenda.
Is it okay if we put that first on, under the new business?
Very
Is
good.
that all right?
Thank you.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Do we have a motion to accept the,
Okay.
is there any corrections, any others that we need to correct before we, okay, is there a motion to accept it as amended?
We've got a motion. If we have a second.
Second.
You do.
A motion to accept the agenda as amended. Okay, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
To amend it first.
To amend it.
This is to amend it first.
Yeah.
Aye.
I thought I said, but maybe not.
And was that unanimous? Because it takes 2/3 to do this as well.
Okay, call the roll.
Otherwise. Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Okay,
Got it.
now,
Got it. Amended.
do we have a motion to accept the agenda
As amended.
as amended?
May I so move?
Second.
The second, a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll on that?
Certainly. Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Okay, it is adopted.
Agendas.
Okay. The next item of business is to consider the approval of the minutes of the board meeting, which was held on August 2nd, 2016. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I move for approval of the minutes.
All in
Second.
favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please indicate by saying no. Okay, it is adopted. The next, in an effort to afford everyone an equal and orderly opportunity to address the items on tonight's agenda, I want to remind our citizens and our guests that we adhere to a 3-minute limit on your comments. And for your convenience, we will display a clock timer on the monitors. And out of respect for all of us, we ask that you honor this request. While members of the board may have questions of the speakers, we ask that you please reserve for the board discussion after all the speakers have been heard. As a reminder, would everyone please speak into their microphones so that everyone can hear for those attending and viewing the meeting by television, and also state your name and your address for our records. We also ask that all cell phones be silenced during the meeting, and please refrain from any disruptions. Should you need to leave prior to the conclusion of the meeting, we ask that you do so quietly, because everybody else forgot to come tonight, and you would really disrupt us if you left. We will notice you tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being concerned with the items of our city, and we appreciate your attendance. At this time, we have some guests to be recognized. First of all, Mr. Fram is with us again this week. Glad to have you with us from the chamber.
Thank you. Mayor, City Manager, members of the board, it's my pleasure to be here this evening to present Brandon Scott. Brandon is chairman of the Hot Springs Young Professionals. At a recent meeting, I guess a month or so ago, there was some conversation about young professionals. This is an organization that was formed by the Greater Hot Springs Chamber in 2013. Partly as a result of knowing that of all of the age segments in our demographics, that group from age 20 to 40 was the most rapidly shrinking group. And obviously, in our effort to build that segment of our population, we wanted to be sure we were doing things in the community, particularly in the business community, to involve that age group. And therefore, we looked at some models across the country. These groups have become a very popular entity of chambers of commerce across the country. Ours very quickly took shape. They are now in their 3rd full year of operation. So with that, I would like to introduce the chairman of the Hot Springs Young Professionals, who in the daytime is the Assistant Director of Marketing at Oaklawn, Brandon Scott.
Well, thanks, Jim, and thanks, everybody, for having me tonight. I'm glad we're able to address you to let you know what young professionals are, because obviously you guys didn't know, which I'm shocked. I think Jim handed out our strategic plan. That should be in front of everyone. And I kind of wanted to just go over this because this gives a great overview of kind of what we're doing and kind of how we've developed over the last 3 years. 3 years ago, Jim called us all in a room, and it was different, young business professionals from around town. And from that grew a steering committee of about 5. And the first 2 years, we really, focused on who we wanted to be, where we wanted to go, what we wanted to see in Hot Springs before we formally formed a board. And this is our first year actually with a board. And actually, we have our first elections coming up in a month. But that's kind of the history. Over the past 3 years, we've collected more than 300 names in our database of young professionals here in Garland County and the surrounding areas. We've kind of opened up a little bit, but look, pretty much it's here. Our mission is to create a platform for young professionals in Hot Springs to build relationships, develop professionally, become civically and philanthropically active, and contribute to the economic progress and quality of life in our growing community. And you can kind of see that through the 6 segments that I have on the strategic plan. With quality of place, that's our recycling initiatives. A lot of the big events in town, you'll see our recycling bins that we'll get out there. Our events like Movies in the Market that just ended in June and July, which has been a huge success with young people and their families bringing kids out, something to do that's safe here. We've got Family Day events. We had a huge event at Mid-America Science Museum a couple months ago that was real successful. We've got 2 more coming up this fall. You know, just different things, civic involvement. We're always encouraging young people to get on boards, and that's been a very successful mission of ours. And we've really seen a difference, probably here in the past year and a half, of a lot of young people joining civic boards in town. Networking. It's, you know, our version of business after hours. The first Tuesday of every month, we get together, exchange business cards, and, you know, just have a fun time. And the last 2 are the typical communications and membership and retention. But, you know, if you ever want to reach out to me and ask anything, we're always willing to help any way we can. But that's pretty much who we are. I think right now, if I had to guess on an active kind of 3-month rolling period, we have about 40 active members, which is actually a really great number for a city the size of Hot Springs. So that's all I've got.
Great, thank you. Do you have any questions for
Well,
Brandon?
I just wanted to say, Brandon, I'm the one that when we reviewed the downtown redevelopment plan and approved it, there were repeated references to your group, and I was not familiar with it. And so I appreciate you coming. And
I don't know.
and-
Appreciate you having us.
And I'm glad to see young people involved. I remember once when I was one.
That's why you didn't know about the group.
And I also am in terms of service on the board, I have the least amount of actual service on the board. I didn't come on to 2015. Everybody else on this board has served longer than I have. So that could be the cause of it.
All right.
Just question, what's the age range for your group?
Typically, it's 21 to 40. If there's some folks that are 41, 44, it's the young at heart is kind of what we, because there are a lot of people who want to be a part, and they'll come be a part of some of our events. But to be a board member, we do cut it off at 40.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's
I serve on a
discrimination.
board with several of your members probably, and I'm always amazed at some of the projects that you all get involved in, and kudos. It's a good organization, and teaching them how to become board members and be involved in the community is really, really an asset for Hot Springs.
Well, I'll definitely send
It's
that to
really
the
good.
board. I'll make this comment, and sometimes I don't know why I say it, but when we set out to form this group, and what Jim kind of commissioned us to do, it was there's been other YPs in the past, and there's YPs everywhere, and typically the group is a hoity-toity group of young professionals, and we sought out to not be that group. We sought out to do the recycling things, to be involved, and not just meet up, once a month and fancy clothes and that kind of stuff. On our board sits a plumber, and so it's a really exciting group that I'm really proud to be a part of.
Great.
Anything else?
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.
I missed it by a year.
I know. Well, maybe by 1 digit.
Yes.
Okay. We are so excited to have our city manager back in town.
Yes.
We just felt hanging loose there, for a long time while you were gone. So we're going to let him give his report now.
Yeah.
You want to tell us what you did?
You bet. Well, the border crossing in and out of Canada was easier getting out
Then getting in.
than getting in, because if you bring a firearm into Canada, there's a lot of forms to fill out and all of that, so I did that. And when we got to the border to leave Canada, it was about midnight 3 nights ago. And my companion from Oregon named Lance Pallison, Lance was with me. We went in, and we went up to there's a drive-through there where you go through, and if you have anything that needs to be inspected or paperwork that has to be checked, then they make you pull into a space and you go inside. So we told them we'd been hunting and we had harvested a game animal, and they said, okay, you have to go inside. And we walked into the counter, and a very stoic-looking, atmosphere, and we walked up, and the man said, do you have anything to declare? And Lance said, we have a sheep in the car. And they said, a live one? And all the people came over, all the staff. They wanted to see what kind of rednecks were bringing a live sheep over the border in the back of a Toyota Camry. So we had some laughs over that and a good time, but it was the Canadian people were very gracious to us, and we had a wonderful trip. And I'll be happy to share pictures with any of you, but just knowing that there's places as wild and untamed and untouched as the Stickeen River Valley in northwest British Columbia, it was just beautiful, fantastic place to be. And I walked 160 miles in 8 days. I don't recommend that unless you're going up and down the mountain over here, and that wasn't even enough to get me ready for what we did. But we did it. We survived. Had 2 grizzly encounters at about 75 yards, but they were also friendly, so we got off the hook there. So got back about 4 or 5 days early because we were successful and able to get home. So I'm here kind of unexpectedly, but it's nice to be home. Have a lot of information for you tonight I think the community will be interested in. First, Walmart's having a grand opening tomorrow at 1544 Malvern, which is kind of exciting, I think, for that neighborhood. Also, the Majestic abatement. Bill took me over to the site this afternoon when I got in, and I was really surprised. Lance, thank you for keeping your foot on the gas pedal, and I think that we've hired a really good contractor. I was amazed at how much work has been done in the last couple of weeks. Our contractor is 90% complete with Phase 1 abatement and demolition of the Lanai Suites section. Our solid waste department has hauled a total of 16.45 tons of asbestos-related waste to the Saline County landfill. The majority of concrete and brick debris is being stored on site to aid as a ramp for demolition of subsequent phases. The contractor will build the ramp from crushed debris. It will enable the high-reach excavator to get up to 8 stories tall at the Lanai Tower. Then after that, abatement continues at the rest of this section. The lower tower will commence following that, and once abatement work is complete at the tower, the workers will move on to the red brick section to begin that process. So also our solid waste department had a very successful electronic waste collection event at the convention center this past Friday and Saturday. 3 tractor-trailer loads of e-waste collected for an estimated of 60,000 pounds. That's another big number that is hard to believe because there's that many computers out there, but the event was sponsored by the Southwest Regional Solid Waste Management District, and we appreciate their assistance. Also, the police department conducted a badge pinning ceremony for 5 new officers on Tuesday, August 9th. The new officers include A.J. Tart, Billy Perkins, Sean Stone, Justin Baker, and Wes Smith. And we welcome these officers to our city and encourage others to apply. And in this day and age, the current environment for law enforcement hasn't been very positive in the last year, so it's very important to us to keep the quality of our recruitments up, and we're just really excited to have these gentlemen joining the police department. The 2017 Community Development Block Grant application period has been opened for eligible neighborhood revitalization, affordable housing, economic and community development proposals, and proposed applications are due October 28th. The applications are available in the Planning and Development Office. And then last but not least, I got a letter from Eric Jackson at Oaklawn, and I don't know how many of you got a letter, but they sent about 70 different fans on their box winning list a letter and had some milestone achievements in the letter. One of them that I thought was really is going to be something to see next year would be they're going to be installing across from the 1/16th pole an additional 30-foot by 20-foot tall jumbo television screen in the infield, so there won't be any reason not to see the finish line when you're at Oaklawn thereafter. Also, their purses are up, more than doubled in some cases in certain categories, and they've got a whole list of, I've got the letter here, so if anybody would like it, I'll just pass it down, and so you can see some of the highlights, but looks like Oaklawn has had another very successful year, and we always appreciate seeing that. And that's, I also want to congratulate our Metro partnership on their national accreditation achievement. That's, I believe, the only one in Arkansas for sure, and I don't think there's more than a dozen of these across the country. So it's a really stellar achievement, and thank Jim and all the partnership people who worked on that. It's nice to have a team that's so unified when it comes to growing our economy locally. So appreciate that effort and congratulations. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And we are glad you came back.
In one piece.
And brought your sheep with you. Okay, do any of our directors have announcements concerning upcoming events? Anything upcoming? Okay. So, the next item of business is in consideration of the consent agenda. Items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And would you please call the roll, Mr. Lance?
Yes. Williams,
Aye.
Ramick, Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
It is,
And in that consent agenda that we don't discuss, I'd like to at least name the names of the people who were appointed to the boards and commissions. And I'm not sure if anybody's here.
I don't think so.
Doesn't look like it, but we'll name them so that the people at home will know who they are too. Michelle Preble was, Preble.
Michael.
I did that last week, Michelle.
Yeah.
I did. Why does Michelle look like Michael? It's the CH, right? To the Arts Advisory Committee, that was Michael Preble. And the resolution appointing Harold Hardwick to the Board of Adjustments and Angela Ezekiel to the Parks and Trails. And Carrie Hobby and Virginia Ann Guthrie to the Planning Commission. And those are alternates that were appointed. And that was it. We had other people to apply, and hopefully they'll apply again at a later time. But those were the ones that were chosen for those commissions. The next item of business is to consider resolution number R16-129.
126, Mayor, you
Ah,
moved that to the-
126, we added that one, and it's
Yeah.
over here. Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt
So
or,
moved.
Second.
in a second, and Ms. Selman?
Resolution R16-126, a resolution approving an application for a temporary emergency dwelling unit at 1008 Woodlawn Street pursuant to ordinance number 4948. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you now would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to
I
adopt?
do. Director Jones, out of courtesy, it's my district. Would you let me do that?
Yes. Yeah. And you had your hand up. That's good.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
A motion to adopt. And Ms. Jones, would you like to second that? Okay. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Now, Ms. Selman, I'm packing my clothes to go to Paraguay, and I'm halfway there already mentally, so you guys just hang on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Kathy Selman, Planning and Development Director. This is a request pursuant to a section of the code that allows for occupancy of a temporary structure, temporary dwelling, in circumstances that are deemed to be emergency or extraordinary. I'd like to tell you a little bit about this situation, and I think you will agree that this is not only an emergency, but that the story itself is quite extraordinary. The applicants are Rick and Janet Edgar, and they are here tonight. They're requesting to have an emergency temporary dwelling at their home at 1008 Woodlawn Street. They're constructing a home that was damaged by fire and flooding while they were away on a cruise. There is no on-site structure that is habitable at this time. Quoting from their application, they state that all utilities are off due to the fire, electrical wiring burned, and PEX water lines burned. The gas is off as a precaution, and they included a number of photos if you need to see those. They further stated, when the fire occurred, we're on vacation from July 9th through July 20th. They provided more information than we've ever had on an application like this, including their itinerary and everything else that you could imagine. They've been looking for rental housing for themselves and their dogs. Their dogs are big and surprising, maybe. Nobody would like to rent a home to them. So they're staying at Candlewood Suites. They would like to have permission to have an RV placed on their lot. They have a place all set where they can do that. And this request is being sponsored by District 4 Director Larry Williams. So they would like you to approve this request. And this would be for a period of 6 months, and anything longer than that would require a separate application. So thank you very much.
Do they have the RV already? They have, you don't?
That's a question for them.
See me. See me. Okay. Okay. It's okay. You don't have to speak unless you want to. That's
Well,
okay.
After Kathy contacted me about sponsoring this, of course, y'all know me, I have to go look. So when I pulled up at your house, I thought I had the wrong address because they have an immaculate yard. From all exterior appearances, I could see nothing wrong. So I talked to one of your neighbors, and I said, I have this request, and they confirmed that, yes, you know, what had happened and that you were staying in a motel, and actually the yard should be nominated for Yard of the Month. It looks so good. So anyway, I just would ask for a favorable vote for this.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? Any further discussion? Any questions? Okay, hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Okay. And the next item of business is to consider resolution number R16-129. Council, would you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R16-129, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 4623, 628 Crescent. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a
Second.
Okay, and Ms. Selman again.
Thank you. This is a request for you to approve a resolution condemning 628 Crescent. This is a vacant, open, deteriorated, and dilapidated structure. It's unsafe and constitutes a nuisance in its current condition. The owner cannot be located. It was turned over to an attorney ad litem for purposes of providing notice, and no response was received. And so we are requesting that you approve this resolution.
Okay, do you have any questions for Ms. Selman?
Anyone here to speak in opposition of Resolution 16-129, a resolution condemning certain real property at 628 Crescent Street? 628 Crescent Street. Hearing none, Mayor, and unless there's more discussion from the board, if you would, call for the vote.
Any discussion at all? Okay, would you please call the roll?
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye,
This is adopted.
it is adopted. Okay, and the next item of business is to consider resolution number R16-130. Council, would you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R16-130, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 4623, 112 Ozark. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Selman again.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request that you approve a resolution condemning property. The structure is deteriorated, dilapidated, open and vacant. It's unsafe and constitutes a nuisance in its current condition. Once again, the owner could not be located. It was turned over to an attorney ad litem for notice, and no response from those notice efforts.
Do we have anybody to speak to that?
Is there any questions or discussion from the board? Anyone here to speak in opposition of Resolution 16-130, a resolution condemning certain real property at 112 Ozark Street? 112 Ozark Street. Hearing none, Mayor, if you would,
Okay.
call for the vote unless there's more discussion.
Any discussion on that property? Okay, hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Yes.
It is adopted. Okay. And the next item of business is a resolution. Is this, that was Ozark, we did Crescent. I think this is copied wrong. The next item of business is to consider resolution number R16-131. Would you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R16-131, 126, actually.
Well,
There,
yeah.
there was a draft agenda, Mayor, that went out that apparently had an error in it. Tonight's agenda does
Okay.
refer to that as 131.
It's one-
Resolution R16-131, a resolution awarding a contract to RJN Group for certain professional services, design engineering services related to the Davidson Drive wastewater treatment facility headworks improvement project. That concludes your reading. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
I move to adopt.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And Mr. Carnahan?
Thank you very much. As you know, we've been working on our consent administrative order to repair all of the sewer system overflows that we have, and we're working our way toward the wastewater plant. And along the way, we are replacing old leaky lines and broken manholes with new ones or repaired, so the flows are all coming to the plant, and we have to make additional changes at the plant to accommodate the flows there. This proposal is to award a contract to RJN engineering firm to design the new headwork at the current Davidson Drive Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant. We have to redesign and rebuild the headworks at the plant to accommodate the future flows. So this is an engineering design contract for $593,617. A lot of money, but it's a complex and large project. It's about a $4.5 million project at the beginning of the plant. We have an existing 36-inch main coming into the plant that we have to keep active and flowing, keep the plant operating. We have to add a new 48-inch main into that, build a new headworks that will combine those flows. At the same time, connect to our overflow pipe, which goes to our 80 million gallon detention pond in case of high flows. We have a 12 MGD plant, for instance, that sometimes sees flows like 50 million gallons a day when we have a lot of rain and so on. So we have an equalization pond that stores that. Then we have pumps there that can recycle it back through the plant when the flows drop back down to normal levels. We have to meter the flows coming in, the flows going to the detention pond, the flows coming back to the pond, put in new bar screens to remove any debris and things that come to the plant to protect our equipment in the plant. Also, we're going to install a new grit removal system in this headworks. So it's a very complex and involves a lot of different parts and pieces going together, and it's large construction that has to take place while the plant is operating. Anyway, so it's a new headworks design at the plant. We reviewed different consulting firms through the rate and rank process and selected RJN engineers. They've done a lot of other good projects for us, and we feel very comfortable in recommending that you approve this contract. It's, by the way, it's part of our bond proceeds that are used to pay for this project.
Okay. Do we have any, we have nobody signed up for anything tonight, right?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Do we have any discussion from the board members? Have any questions, Mr. Carnahan? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones, Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Okay. And the next one is an item number O1648. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, council, would you please read by title?
Ordinance 01648, an ordinance waiving the requirements of competitive bidding, awarding a contract to EcoVerde Odor Control Technologies LLC for certain equipment at the South Rogers and Winkler Road pump stations and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Carnahan.
Thank you again. One of the problems in our wastewater system is hydrogen sulfide. It causes bad odors, as you probably know, but in addition to that, just as bad, it's very corrosive and shortens considerably the life cycle of our electrical controls, our piping in our pump stations and in our wastewater system. So it's a real problem, especially because we have to pump our wastewater all the way from the other side of Lake Hamilton, the west side of town, all the way to east side Davidson Drive. Sometimes we pump through 4, 5, 6 pump stations to make that happen. So it's very important that we eliminate the hydrogen sulfide from our system if at all possible, and we've tried a lot of ways to do that and to remove odors. But most recently, we hired a consultant who recommended this biological, came and did testing and sampling and recommended a biological tower, basically about 16 feet tall. And that system, we took bids from 2 different firms and selected EcoVerde, which it was about half the price of the other company. And but we had them install a system on a 90-day trial basis to make sure it would work before we paid for it. And we did that. It worked wonderfully. It removed 100% of the hydrogen sulfide at that pump station, at the Hogan pump station, and eliminated any complaints that we've been having about odors there. And so consequently, we paid about $51,000 for that. That we had an opportunity with the supplier, EcoVerde, to purchase 2 more units for 2 of our other pump stations that have problems, South Rogers Road and Winkler Road pump stations, for $52,000 each. And we feel like because of the great success we've had at the Hogan pump station, the problems we've had with this hydrogen sulfide corrosion and odor, that we would like to move quickly to install this same system at the other 2 pump stations. So that's why we are asking you to let us award this to EcoVerde and waive competitive bidding and just buy 2 more units like the ones that we have tested and proven that it works.
Sounds good. We have any questions for the procedure process? Okay, sounds great.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Williams.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Okay, that concludes the business section of tonight's meeting. Are there any comments from the board members? Any
I do.
comments? Okay.
Dr. Mike Hernandez, Superintendent of Hot Springs School District, spoke to the Park Avenue Community Association meeting last night, and he has an audio and visual presentation. It's very comprehensive, and I encourage anybody that has any questions to attend one of those meetings because it's incredibly informative, and in some ways it's taking school district back to the ways that they worked properly decades ago and keeping children in one spot longer. But a lot of it makes very good sense, and the Park Avenue community was very, they were enthused about it, had good questions. So it's worth anybody viewing if they have questions about
Right.
it.
Did he get around to all of the board members? I think he wanted to have a meeting if all of you haven't been invited.
Spoke to the Gateway community on
Oh, you saw
Saturday.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey,
You-
yes.
You got it, okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I know you're ready to get home and pack, and so
Yes.
I just want to wish you Godspeed and a safe trip.
Thank you.
And we're glad to have our city manager back.
Oh, we are. And will it be Suzanne who will be here on the agenda meeting on the last Tuesday of the month? Are you going away?
You run the meeting now. You ain't-
Elaine wants to do that if you don't want to. She really wants to do it.
I want to be the mayor that night.
Madam Mayor.
Agenda meeting.
Madam Mayor, I think one of the testimonies to a community that is happy with the way things are going is their willingness to get more involved in the community. And I want to say that the candidates that we had for occupying these vacancies on our committees and commissions, the quality of the candidates has improved tremendously. We don't seem to have a shortage of applicants on these committees and commissions that are so important to us. And the young professionals, as a specific organization, we've begun to see them step up and get involved, including on some of these committees and commissions. So I want to express my gratitude, but I think it's a measure of how people perceive what's going on in our community. I think it's been very positive. So thank you for your leadership.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, there being no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
My man, not here.